I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't been relaxing much on this season. It's all just been build, collect, and even more building. I haven't had taken the time to just relax and have a place to just unwind and just sit back and do nothing. But obviously I haven't had a place to do that for a while, and for that I thought I might go to the place where we very first started this season, back on the edge of the Mushroom Island, all the way back here. As you can see, I have actually made a little bit of a beach, but the idea here is just to have a bit more of a just a place where I don't have to build anything. I can just sit back and observe the oceans and the land where it can go. So that's something that we're going to be trying to do today, just something to relax and sit back. So we'll be ending this episode right here on a hopefully completed beach, so hope you enjoy it. As I should say, welcome to another episode of TerraVentures. We're in episode 40-something, 46 or 47, I forget exactly what. It's just been so long since we started. But what we have is a nice-ish beach. It's not very good at all, not very big, not very flat. So what I'm going to do is try and do something like Scar would do, actually. And Good Times with Scar, which is one of a really good YouTuber, which I occasionally watch. So I would say that what we need to do here is just make this go out quite a bit. Make this transition slowly down and make it a little bit more, make it a little bit more of a transition down. So that should be a little bit better, I think. So with that, we're going to need some sand here and some sandstone down there. Shouldn't be too hard. And of course, we're going to have to transition this all the way around the island, or at least part of the island. And we should be able to create ourselves a very nice beach here. So let's get started on that. As I'm working on this, I probably could explain exactly what the plan is for the rest of this beach, or today's episode, I could say. And that is mainly just to try and build a beach, but also transition this island over here into a beachy island. And if I've got the time and the ability, I suppose, because I'm really not clever enough, clever enough, that's the word. I'm really not skilled enough yet to figure out exactly more of the stuff. But I was thinking of building a island somewhere and then putting some pillagers without their bows on it. So that may be a reasonable idea. It will take me a little while to debow the pillagers, because I have seen how to do it on the Hermitcraft, but I believe that it is going to take a while. So that is something I could look at doing at some point soon. However, after all that, after I kill off these cows, so the beach is going to come around here. I'm probably going to have to flatten this a fair bit, and then where the beach ends, I'll put a stone fence of sorts and go from there. So, and I'm also thinking of putting a little bit of decoration here, trying to make sure it's not all just single dimensional, not all so flat like it is here, but it might go up like a single layer here, just to make it a little bit more, what's the word, textured, a little bit more up and down, because I tend to not like to do those things, but it is something that I'm going to have to do, I think, today. This bay over here is probably the most important part of the entire, well, I suppose a build, this entire landscaping project, because this part is going to be, I'm thinking this part's going to be where most of the beachgoers go, or at least it's going to be the shallowest part of the thing. Now, as you can see, I've started a bit of a sandstone thing here, and the idea is to gradually come down to possibly around the height I am now, as well as to do the same one here. And to do that, I'm going to do a lot of sandstone, which I don't really have a lot of. Though that said, I think there is a shop with a lot of it, so I might be able to spend some diamonds and keep the economy in this, at least in Minecraft, going, to be able to do that. So yes, I know there's a lot of sand here already, but I need this to be all the same height to start with, and for that it definitely needs to change. So there is quite a bit to go, but I am making progress. So hopefully soon, if I don't get killed by drowned, I don't know, I'm not really sure. If I'm not killed by those mobs, then it should be too easy to at least get something started here. And already looking at that, it's starting to come together. So what I need to do now is curve this island round to about there, and continue from there. And as you can see, I've made a fair bit of decent progress on this, at least this part of the bay. It's a little bit, well, I say you can actually see it just sort of tapers off, or it doesn't taper off at all, it just abruptly stops there. So there's quite a bit of work yet to do. However, it is looking pretty reasonable, I reckon. It could be a little bit better. I think this hole down here isn't exactly, wouldn't exactly look like what a true bay would look like, but I reckon it's still getting there. It's still quite a way of work in progress, but it is certainly looking a little bit better, and something that you could potentially want to swim in, I suppose, which is the entire point of it. It's deep, you could drown in it, and yet there is enough of a shallow bit here in which someone could wade, I suppose. It's just a little bit of a, that's the general idea, just to make it a little bit beach-like. It's certainly a long ways off from being done, though. Over here, on the other hand, I haven't done much. I've just left it the way it is. I do want it to go down a fair bit more, so... And this island, of course, still needs to be expanded downward, so still lots to go. One of the other consequences of building up this thing is that I can actually see a lot more fish and a lot more squid in here, so... And they are, of course, going to be drowned. So an unintended consequence of me building this up, it's become a bit of a fish farm. But I suppose that can only be a positive. It actually makes this thing look a little bit more alive rather than the watery depths everywhere else. For now, however, I think I'm going to abandon this project, or not abandon it, but I'm going to put the land shelving and land terraforming, on, at least underwater, aside, and turn to terraforming on land. Well, terraforming does mean land forming, just by the simple nature of it. But anyway, I'm going to get rid of this mountain here because it really doesn't look nice given the sandy texture I'm trying to create. So this hill has definitely got to go. This hill here is going to have to go, which does mean a lot of bombarding and a lot of blowing up of things. There's a lot of stuff in that mountain over here. And continuing around to that part of the bay, it's quite a bit of work, and it's going to take quite a bit of time, but hopefully we can speed through this and we shall be able to get it done quickly. This bay over here is probably the most important part of the entire, well, I suppose this entire landscaping project, because this part is going to be, I'm thinking this part's going to be where most of the beachgoers go, or at least it's going to be the shallowest part of the thing. Now, as you can see, I've started a bit of a sandstone thing here, and the idea is to gradually come down to possibly around the height I am now, as well as to do the same one here. And to do that, I'm going to do a lot of sandstone, which I don't really have a lot of. Though that said, I think there is a shop with a lot of it, so I might be able to spend some diamonds and keep the economy in this, at least in Minecraft, going, to be able to do that. So yes, I know there's a lot of sand here already, but I need this to be all the same height to start with, and for that it definitely needs to change. So there is quite a bit to go, but I am making progress. So hopefully soon, if I don't get killed by drowned, I'm not really sure. If I'm not killed by those mobs, then it should be too easy to at least get something started here. And already looking at that, it's starting to come together. So what I need to do now is curve this island round to about there, and continue from there. While doing a little bit of looking on the internet, I actually found something that might be a little bit more helpful when it regards to making this look a little bit smoother. Now, obviously it's just the slabs there, but actually that doesn't look quite right. So I might need to go back and correct this to smooth slabs, which apparently don't exist, which just mean I wasted about 5 or 6 rockets doing that. But anyway, just having the smooth transition between the two layers of the block should make this look a little bit better, rather than the abrupt rises that I've got at the moment. So with that in mind, I probably should actually make this go back a level, so we're not transitioning from sea into a reasonably high level. But that shouldn't be too hard to do. So let's do that. Let's get that all over the slopes, and we should be able to have a much better looking island or beach or whatever whatever else we're trying to go for here. And that block has to go. So let's have a fly up into the air and look, and already that's starting to look a little bit better. Probably would be better if these things were a bit bigger of a incline, but I suppose that's the best I can do for for now. So if I do the same on this bit here, we should get a real look of what it should look like. And we can see we've got this down. I decided to flatten this island by one more block because it was going to be a little bit too tall for the kind of size of island it is. And as you can see, I've also done the rest around here. What I really should be doing is flattening these things, but they're going to take a lot more durability than my tools actually have, and it's a lot more effort. I probably could outsource it if I was really clever. I could pay people to do it, and I do have the diamond, so I might do that. On the other hand, nothing gets done better than doing it yourself, I suppose. But yes, that definitely needs to be done at some point. What I probably could do in the meantime is design something else, especially on this little flat area here, because this is probably the biggest part of the beach at the moment. And if I have something here, it will sort of set the design for the rest of the beach whenever I get around to finishing it off. So if I can, I'll probably put a few things in here. I'm not quite sure. Can put a few dead bushes, definitely. I gathered these many days ago. Well, not even days. I gathered them near the start of the season on one of my first trips to the mining desert, which was quite a while ago. So that is certainly something that might make it look a little bit better, although that said, it does make it look more like a desert rather than a beach. So maybe perhaps not. Not quite certain what else I can put in here to make it a beach instead of a desert. So we're going to have to do a little bit of a look, actually. So I'll have a look on the internet now and see what I can come up with. And after doing a little bit of research, I've come up with a couple of ideas, or had a couple of ideas borrowed from the internet. So one of them is a deck chair with a bit of a, where's the fence? A bit of a ceiling, or a roof, or what do you call it? A bit of a umbrella, that's the word I'm looking for. Sorry for the silence, but yes, sometimes you just forget what exactly you're trying to say. So, come on, get on top. There we go. Now if I do that, then now I'm going to need string. But yes, so it's a bit of a umbrella here, and I think if I repeat that a couple of times around, that should make it interesting. But firstly I need to get some string, and then we will have a look at the completed umbrella, which shouldn't take too long. And there we go. So there we go, there's one completed deck chair set. I suppose, I'm not really sure you can call it a deck chair, so it's sort of like a beach chair, but just something where you can relax, watch the kids play at the edge of the water, and just relax under shade. So that's the general idea of this. So if I can do a couple more of these elsewhere, that should end up looking reasonably good and just give a little bit more life to the rest of this beach. And actually looking at these two beach things that I've got, it actually reminds me of something else I can do. I can just put a couple of pieces of carpet on the ground to make it look like a bit of a towel. So if I do a couple of these somewhere else as well, that should look pretty good, not always in the same direction and not obviously stacked on top of each other, but just something to give this place a little bit more life and give it just something else to make it look like there is actually some people here who'd want to visit this island, this beach, give it a little bit more life, because at the moment obviously it's just colour, just the light yellow, it's just the light yellow of the sand, so that doesn't quite give off enough life that we're looking for. I've just logged in after a couple of hours of having dinner and cleaning up and all that, and it looks like my call to arms, or call to help dig out this thing, has been successful. A couple of people, or at least one I know of, has helped out with that. I believe the person is Mirrorflame, so thank you very much to that person for helping out. It's very, very much appreciated, especially since this is going to be it's really, really big project. So, and I believe they did manage to get quite a bit of stuff, and thankfully it's all despawning, so I don't have to pick it up. But that is going to be really helpful. As the beach starts to take a little bit more shape, I think there's a couple more things that I can add. Firstly, I think if I add a custom tree on this island, or one or two custom trees on this island, it would look pretty good. So what I want to do is go up, and I want it to be kind of palm tree-like. So what I really need is something like that there, and an axe to get rid of it, the bits I don't need. Something like that. And then, no, that didn't quite go right. I'm really making a hash of this, aren't I? But something like that, maybe up like that, one out like that. I really haven't delved much into custom trees, so I might have to do a little bit of research on that, but something like that. You know, if that goes up and outward, like, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Something like that sort of, and continue upwards. That should be okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of looking on the internet and see how I'm supposed to build these kind of things and come back to it. And having a look at that, I'm sort of getting the hang of it, sort of nearly there. It's just missing a little something, I think. I do need to fill it out on this side, which is probably part of the thing. But if I do add a couple more leaves on this side, that should help. And then down like this, a leaf like that, but this one comes like this, something like that, maybe a bit under. Just need to check, continue on with this. But that is sort of getting there. It's sort of filling out just a bit. Yes, as you know, I'm no expert on this kind of stuff. It's just something that I can sort of figure out how to do, and yet it's not quite there. And that is not quite. Yes, that's something there. It's a little bit it's a little bit more biased to this side, so I might need to fill in this side of the tree a little. So something like that, and like that. Is that good? Let's take a look, and thankfully I can fly. Something like that. Is that okay? Yeah, it's probably a bit too much actually. I can still see the tree branches, but that is getting better. So I'm going to continue work on this and see if I can make it even better and go from there. A little bit of modeling on the tree has come up with that. It's probably not perfect. It's not quite what I'm looking for, but it's good enough, I reckon. The idea of it is that the wind is starting to come through here, since there's a rather flat area and there was a mountain there. So the tree is coming through here and it's just bending that way, hence why the leaves are more congregated on this side. Now, what we should also do is thank our other person who's decided to come and help us, which is B-Boy, and of course Mira's over there helping out. So thank you to the both of them for helping out in this massive, well, I suppose it's not as big as the stadium project, but it's still big nonetheless. And thanks to the efforts of B-Boy and Miraflame, we've finished up our terraforming project. Yes, it isn't as neat as it could be, but that doesn't matter too much because most of this is going to become grass anyway. So, and this hill, this hill will be the end of it as well. Although that's I probably should have gotten rid of that as well. That doesn't matter too much. Anyway, so what I really need to do now is cut off some of this bit and make it all sand, which I really need more of myself. And then work on a bit more of the making all this grass actually, because this I'm going to have to do a bit of a place to relax as well. So that's the beach, and then a place to come in. So I need a fence all the way around the beach area, and that should be okay from there. So now that everything's been cleared out, let's just go over the plans that we've got for here. So of course we're going to extend the beach probably 10 to maybe 15 or so blocks out, so possibly to around here or so. It'll slowly build up. Then we're going to have a stone wall, I reckon. And then from about here, which we probably should start grassing up, will be the grass one. And then we'll have, of course, as I said, the stone wall to go around. And from there, it will be all grass to these hills here, which I will eventually remove and put in grass. So the entire base is going to eventually become a green wonderland, which is the original intention of this. So, and I am nearly out of time for today, so let's just kill this cow and get a little bit of started on that. So what we would need to do first is patch up these holes that were left everywhere. It's not too much of a problem, shouldn't take too long, and then we can start off today's episode. And that's all been done. So thank you very, very much for watching. It's been a slightly different episode. I know at the start I did say I'm going to take some time to relax, but we've been busy building and digging out again. So perhaps in a future episode, we're only on 47, I believe. So maybe in 50 we'll take a big break and have a big relaxation time at this place. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.